On the last video, I talked about whether a shower is a base pattern or not. And I've had quite a few different comments about on the YouTube videos and other places on Facebook. And someone said, no, there's actually only 4 base patterns because every throw has to be the same. And if every throw is going to be the same, there's only like 4 different patterns you can have, which is the cascade, the async fountain, the synchronous fountain, or the wimpy pattern with synchronous crossing throws. And that's only though if you only consider what throws you do. And I think it's really important with juggling not to only consider what throw is happening, but actually what's happening in the other hand when it isn't throwing. And that's what beat map does. It describes every hand on every beat. So there's actually lots of different things that can be happening which you can't reduce down further. So just to break it down, there's 4 things that can happen in a juggling pattern on every beat with just 2 hands, let me put it this way. So on the next beat, because that's what we're notating, what's going to be happening on the next beat really, or what's going to happen between now and the next beat, the ball can either be in the same hand, or on the next beat it can be on the other hand, or it can be on the way in the air to the same hand, like a fountain throw, a straight throw, or the ball can be on the way to the other hand, so like a cascade throw, a crossing throw. So we've got a hold, a zip, a straight throw, or a crossing throw. That's what each hand can be doing on every beat. But if you've got 2 hands, there's actually a lot more options. And because we're going to be talking about what the right hand is doing and what the left hand is doing on every beat, and trying to work out what are the basic options that you can have with that, I'm going to draw a grid. We're going to enter the matrix. Let's do this. What we're actually going to do here is we're going to say the columns this way is going to be the right hand, and these ones down here are going to be the left hand. And we've got to write down what the options are. So the first thing that we're going to put is the fountain throw, the straight throw, and the same thing here. The next thing you can do is the crossing throw. Cross here. The next thing you can have is the hold. So the ball is going to be in the same hand on the next beat, or you can do the final one, which is in the other hand on the next beat, which is going to be the zip. So straight throw, cross, hold, zip, straight throw, cross, hold, zip. This is going to be the left hand, this is going to be right hand, and where they intersect, we're going to come up with maybe about 16 different possible patterns, and these are going to be the base patterns. Because, again, they're going to be the base patterns because if every beat of the pattern is the same, and every hand is doing every option, we can actually break down every beat of every possible pattern with 2 hands, into one of these things. So there's not going to be any options which we don't have by the end. However, I'm going to do 2 rules, put in place 2 rules. The first rule that we're going to do is that there's going to be no multiplexes and no squeeze catches, mostly because at that point then each hand isn't doing one thing, it's actually going to be doing 2 things all the time. And we don't want each hand to be doing 2 things, we're just going to keep it down to 1 thing at each thing. So rule number 1, no multiplexes. The other way to state this rule is only 1 thing per hand. Bit messy there. So that's rule number 1. The second rule is that in each pattern we're going to make the throws or any throw values that we put in as close to each other as possible. We're going to try and make them as low as possible, but also as close to each other as possible. So we are now ready to enter things into the matrix. Let's get a different color pen, because why not? Right, let's start off, let's just put in the cascade, because the cascade is really obvious, because we've got a cross throw in the right hand, so let's just keep the right hands over here on the edge. So the cross throw is going to be a 2x over there. Is that visible? Is that visible there? Yes. Okay, and on the other hand, we've got a hold. So this is going to be left side, so let's keep all the left side. So that is the pattern, okay? But we know that every beat is either going to be the same or it's going to be the mirror image of it. So actually, if we put a little star there at the end, it means do this again as a mirror image. And actually, we can kind of show that it's going to be the same thing over here, because in this time, the right hand is going to be holding, so we're going to put a 1 there, and the left hand is going to be doing a cross. So we're going to put a 2x there and a star. So what actually we do, and this kind of illustrates what the pattern is doing in terms of the state of the pattern. I talked about that in the last video. But really what we do is we do a 1, 2x, and it kind of takes us over here. And then we do a 2x1, and it kind of takes us back to there. So what we're actually doing in this matrix is that we're going from this square to this square and back and forwards again. And what we're doing a hold and a cross, and then a cross and a hold. A hold and a cross and a cross and a hold. And that gets us the basic 3-ball cascade. Is this starting to make sense, yeah? Yes. Okay, so let's fill in some of these other things over here. Let's see if we can do this quickly. So what if we have a straight throw, on this side, okay, we've got a 2, and it's not going to X, and over here, we've got a zip, okay, so that's a 1X is a zip, okay. So what we straight away have, we've got a 2 and like this, and we realize, oh, we've done this before, we did this in the last video, this is going to end up as a box. And if we put this star over here, and we have the same thing over here, so we've got, in the left hand, we've got the 1X, and also on the other side we've got the 2, okay. So again, as we went backwards and forwards here, we have the same thing going backwards and forwards on this side, we've got the box going on. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go straight throw and straight throw. We already know what a straight throw and a straight throw is, so if we just put them in numbers, if we do a 2 and a 2, we don't need to put an X there, because a straight throw and a straight throw, we already know what's going to happen. It's a bit like this. If we keep the pattern going, it's 2, you know, just double pairs. If we want to, we can actually make this, so that's one pattern there. If we want to, we can actually make it maybe a 3, 3, start, and then just do the 1s, okay? So this is more of what we know in beat map, where we can do a 3 and a catch, and then we're doing the catches in between. We're notating the catches in between. But really, the most important thing that we're doing is the straight throw and the straight throw, and that's it. So actually, let's now go down this diagonally. We've done this diagonal, let's go down this diagonal. So we've got a cross and a cross. So this is super easy again. We can do a 2x, 2x. And what we have, of course, is the 4-ball wimpy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Looking good. Okay, let's go down to the next one, a hold and a hold. So now we've just got a 1 and a 1, okay? And we're like, okay, well that's not that helpful, because what we've done is we've got a hold and a hold. And so what we're doing is, in the next, same hand next beat, same hand next beat, same hand next beat. It's like, what's really interesting about that? But we've already seen that this kind of fits in here. If at any point you do some juggling, you do a high throw, and you're just holding underneath, you're actually doing this for a beat. And that's kind of handy to have a 1-1 if you're doing pirouettes or anything like that. You're doing a throw, your high throw, you've got 2 balls in your hand and you do something with them, but you don't let go. They're in your hands on the next beat, you get a 1-1. And finally, over here we get a zip in the left hand and a zip in the right hand. We've got a 1x, 1x. And this is what I call the swap. So now let's go around the edge, and we've got these interesting things here. And what comes up there? We've got a zip and a hold. Okay, now this is really tricky, because if we're holding the ball and we're zipping the ball, it actually ends up on the next beat like that. So, not really possible unless we break this rule. Multiplexes not allowed, only one thing per hand, because on the next beat, this hand is going to have to do 2 things. So when we actually see this zip and this hold, it kind of breaks the matrix, and we're not going to allow that. Okay, so let's put a cross there. Same thing here, zip and hold. We're not going to allow that either. It's a real pity, but this doesn't really fit in the matrix unless we allow multiplexes. Right, so we've got a few more things to do. We've got a zip and a cross. We already know that a zip and a cross can be a 2x, 1x. Is that a zip and a cross? Did I do it in the wrong side? Yes, I did actually. It's meant to be a 1x, comma, and then 2x. Now, this can actually be a few things, as we've already seen. It can be a shower, like this. And so that beat is there, okay. We also know that this same thing could be if we do it as a 1x, 3x, and then a star at the end. So we already know that as the sprung cascade. However, this is like the base beat of it, even though we can put it together. Same thing, of course, happens opposite over here as well. We've got in this case, oh no, it's the cross on this side, so that's a 2x, 1x, like that. And so that's the shower. So, shower. So we've still got a few things coming over here. We've got a straight throw and a hold. We already know that this, if we put the straight throw as a 2 and this is a 1, we know that this can be a beat like this. And we already know that this is a bass pattern. Even if you don't want to admit it, you've actually got stuff going on like this. It's all the same thing. And if you go from the hold to the cascade and back again, you can actually do, if you do a hold and then a 2 like this, we can actually go from here via here, and we actually go around these different places around the beat, and we can get like the cascade and then a hold here. So we get this back pattern, and we realize that the pattern, which in side swap would be called a 4-2-3, it's actually, we understand it's just a cascade beat and a fountain beat. And we can just plot our way in the same way that these switch between each other, different states. We can go from here to here and here to here and here like that. And also, as we already know, if we're gonna do it in different hands each time, we can also have something like this. This is the pattern where each hand is doing this on the other side. So again, but really this is the base pattern. However, I do think this kind of thing is also a base pattern because it's actually a different thing because it's a mirrored version, and the way that we can mirror it is by doing a 3-1 rather than a 2-1. It's the same in this. This is kind of another base pattern because we're actually swapping sides each time. It allows us to add in this extra pattern, which brings us to these final two possibilities where we've got here we've got a cross throw, and here we've got a straight throw. Now, the most basic way you could probably look at this is doing a 2 cross, that's the cross throw, and then a 2, which is a straight throw. However, I've already explained that if we're using beat map, we've got to describe these on every single beat. So what we'll be left with is what? We'll be left with a squeeze catch. And the only way to get out of a squeeze catch is to do either a multiplex throw back out, like this, or to hold something and throw it out again. Which means there is a really cool pattern, which is like the most basic way you could do this, which is a pattern where the balls squeeze each time. So every catch is a squeeze catch, a bit like, I should have practiced this one, a bit like this kind of thing. So every catch is a squeeze catch. It's a very difficult trick. See my freshly squeezed video for a longer run of that. However, we're not going to allow that, so that's not allowed. So the only way that we can do it is by, like I say, the throw values as close as possible. It doesn't mean that they have to be equal, but let's try and keep them as close as possible. So what would happen if instead of this being a 2x, how if we put it as a 3x, comma, 2, okay? So for everyone watching, you'll all know this pattern as the 6x4. Pretty good, yeah? We can increase this and make it into a beat map, a higher beat map where we actually describe where the throws are. So it would actually, in that case, be a, what's that, a 5x, comma, 4. Is that right? No, 3. 3. And then 1, 1. I think that's correct. Of course, we actually have another option up here, which is, well, why does that one have to be the higher? Why does the crossing one have to be higher? What if we make the straight one the higher? So we can also have a 3, comma, 2x. Okay, and these have to have stars after it, by the way, these ones here. And this has a star to show that we're repeating it the same on the other side. And this pattern isn't the 6x4, it's obviously the 4x6, where the straight one goes higher and the crossing one goes lower, and it looks a bit more like this. Oh, it's a little bit low in this room to do this pattern smoothly for me, but that's the pattern that we're going for. We've got all of these different things in here, and I think these are the possible base patterns. And the reason they're the base patterns is because every single two-handed juggling trick will have a combination of these, or these just repeated over and over and over again. With, of course, different values, but when we find the most basic versions, we're going for the throw values as close as possible to each other to get the different variations of these different patterns. Okay.
Cool.
Any questions?
Just write again what is what now here.
Oh, okay. 6, comma, 4x, sink, fountain. We have either here 2 in 1 hand, or a sink fountain, the box. Here a shower, the cascade. Here is also a cascade. A wimpy, a 6x4. That's the side swap. That's what the trick is called, 6x4, really. This is the fountain as well. We have a hold, we have a swap. And down at the bottom here, let's call this a sprung cascade. And over here, we have the other side of the box. Okay, and here, and here. Overall, I think those are the most basic patterns that we can have. Any other questions?
That's good.
Okay, let's leave it there.